It was an unseasonably warm February day in 2017 in the small rural town of Delphi, Indiana, a place where everyone knows each other and they look out for each other. It's not a place where you worry when your teenage kids decide to go on an adventure. So when Abby Williams and her best friend Libby German decided to go on a hike near the Monon High Bridge in the middle of the day, no one thought it was dangerous. But when Libby and Abby did not show up when they were supposed to get picked up, their families began to worry and they began to search. Then the next day, the worst news possible. The bodies of these two girls were found, both victims of murder. After 5 frustrating years, this man, Richard Allen, was arrested for killing both girls. Allen admitted being in the area that day, and prosecutors say a bullet found at the scene was forensically connected to his gun. One problem: Abby and Libby were not shot. And now we're learning a lot more about the murders through documents filed in court by Allen's attorneys. Information that the defense suggests shows ritualistic killings connected to Odinism, an ancient Nordic religion allegedly followed by some local white nationalists. They also say there is no way one man could have pulled off this double murder. Tonight, we examine the scene of the murders, the clues left behind, and the evidence connected to the victims as we continue to investigate the Delphi murders. I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Another big hour here as we take a closer look at the Delphi murders. So much more information now coming to light through these papers that were filed by the defense. But let's remind you, this crime scene, absolutely brutal. Brutal. If you're a family member, one of the parents, grandparents, loved ones of these two girls, you have to be absolutely horrified about what has now become publicly revealed and is part of this case. But the defense is saying everything that is being revealed helps them, proves that someone else is responsible for this, not Richard Allen, the man who's been accused. So the question really is, for everyone involved and ultimately for those 12 jurors who will make the decision here and tell us what happened, what does the evidence say? What does this evidence mean? Evidence speaks, not literally, but it tells a story. And when this becomes a murder trial, which it's on its way to being a trial, that evidence has to tell the story. And will this story be that Richard Allen is the one responsible, or is the story, wait a minute, this doesn't look like Richard Allen did it. This looks like something completely different. And tonight we're going to look at this evidence and try to figure out what it's telling us now, what we are learning and what has been revealed. One of the questions that the defense is throwing out there is was this a one-man job? And they're saying no, that everything suggests that it could not have been Richard Allen alone committing this crime. Now, they're not conceding that he's there and he got a helper. No, they're saying completely different people, a different group is responsible. But you have to look at all the facts at the scene and the circumstances surrounding what happened to Abby and Libby that day. And could one man by himself pull this off? We're going to address that question tonight on this program. Also, and this is looming large, and we'll be continuing to talk about this every time we talk about the case, was this a ritualistic killing? Was this some sort of bizarre ritual that took place that day? And is it connected to Odinism, a word that was 1,000% foreign to me until about, just over 24 hours ago? Now we know it's this ancient Nordic religion that, according to the defense, has been hijacked by white nationalists, a group, and specifically some that are in Indiana, that this is somehow a racial, some sort of racist killing of these two girls? How do those pieces fit together? Does it fit together? And there's always two ways to look at this, and I want you to remember this always when the defense is putting out an alternative theory. Look at their theory and then just flip it on its head and imagine if what the defense is saying is the prosecution's case. And if what the prosecution is saying is the defense case, right? Because that's what would happen. If you turned around and as prosecutors you went after the people that the defense says are responsible, is there more evidence against them? Or if that was the case, would you be looking at Richard Allen and saying, well, wait a minute, what about this guy Richard Allen? That's the way I always analyze this. And I do that because I'm concerned about the truth. A defense attorney, that's not their job. Their job is to put the prosecution to the test to make sure they prove their case beyond any reasonable doubt. But in terms of proving things and raising, they just raise doubts. That's part of their job, is to say there's reasonable alternative explanations. But are they better explanations than for what the prosecution is alleging? And how reasonable are they when you really look at them? And that's part of the analysis. Now, I don't know what the truth is here, because we haven't seen all the evidence, but we now, tonight, as we sit here, have been privy to a lot more than we were before the defense filed these papers and it was released. So I want to start here because this is extremely significant to me, which is what the victims looked like at the scene and what was with them. Because a lot of this, the defense says, and this is their theory again, that it's ritualistic, that it shows that something was done here purposely and there's some message that is left behind at the scene. So let's take a look, based upon what the defense has filed here, what they are saying Abby and Libby appeared to look like. Now they have Libby lying flat on her back, left arm stretched above her head, touching the base of the large tree. Now what you're looking at, this depiction, is what we put together based upon this memorandum. This actual image that you're looking at right now is not something that is part of any filing by anyone. We here at Closing Arguments, based upon this description, have put this together. Libby's right arm was placed along the side of her body. A large branch was placed on her left shoulder. The branch extended above Libby's head and below her legs. Two smaller branches formed a V where her legs joined. Both sides of the V extended upwards towards Libby's head. The branch extended across Libby's body on a line from her right shoulder to her left shoulder. Now, Abby. Just feet away from Abby, at an angle, Abby's legs are feet away from Libby's legs, their heads just a few feet apart. Abby was on her back, elbows were bent with her arms placed on her chest, Abby's left hand and arm near the left side of her face, right hand and arm near the right side of her face. Okay, there, a little bit of interpretation, however you interpret that, that's how we are, but it could be different, but it's something like that, I would think. Abby's left leg was straight while her right leg was bent at the knee. Her bent right leg was under her left leg. 3 tree branches were placed on top of Abby in the shape of an asterisk. Above Abby's head, smaller sticks placed over her hair, crudely mimicking horns or antlers. So again, looking at this, we put that together based upon the description I read to you. Now, what I read to you is directly from the papers filed by the defense. So this is what they are alleging the evidence says, based upon information they've gotten from investigators and the prosecution. So let's talk some more about this. Joining us right now in studio, co-host and producer of Down the Hill, the Delphi Murders podcast, and Court TV senior writer Barbara McDonald is with us. Barbara, let's start here, okay? You've seen different depictions of those stick formations that everyone's talking about now, these stick formations on the two girls. What have you seen? And let's begin with Abby.
All right, so I've been hearing about these stick formations and this image on the tree for a very long time, and very different characterizations than what's in this memorandum. Sources close to the investigation have provided me with drawings of what they say those images look like, the arrangement of those sticks. So let's start with the one of Abby, and it shows 3 sticks. Now, we have not placed her body here because this is how it was provided to me. We don't know exactly what the positioning on top of her was like, but this is supposed to be a representation of what the image looked like, the way the sticks were formed. Now let's put up the image from Libby. And there's 5 sticks involved here by my count. And you can look at these and decide if they look like something to you or look like they're randomly placed. I have spoken to many investigators who were on the scene at the time who say the assumption was they were randomly placed. They did not see a pattern. They didn't see intentionality there. The other interesting thing about these sticks, they did not collect them when they collected evidence from the crime scene.
Whoa, slow down. Sticks are placed on the bodies of the 2 victims here, and they're not collected as evidence?
They were not collected as evidence until several weeks later, conceivably when this Odinism stuff started to arise within the investigation, and they went back to try to collect those sticks. Now, the other thing we have an image of is what was depicted on the tree, and it's described in this memorandum as being the letter F, a rune painted in blood.
Blood, right?
That was tested, according to the memo, it's Libby's blood, according to the memo.
That's what the defense is saying.
Yes. I have not heard that part of it from my sources, but I was given a rendering of what the blood on the tree or whatever the substance on the tree appeared to be. And
that's what we're looking at right now.
This is more accurate. Several of the investigators told me they thought that it was a perhaps partial handprint of the person who committed the crime, leaned up against the tree, and that's how it was placed there.
All right, let's put it back up. Let's put that back up. This is significant. This is important. Now, the defense is saying this is the letter F.
Yes. Now, we also have a second image where we have placed that rune, the F image, over this. And you can decide for yourself if it looks like the exact same image or not. Again, many investigators thought that it was a handprint or something that was just done during the commission of the crime and not intentionally placed there. But just like the sticks, Vinny, this was not taken as evidence. The tree was not cut down, the bark was not removed, it was left at the scene, photographed, swabbed.
Everything was photographed though, right? The scene had to be photographed at a minimum. At a minimum.
But you would think, at least the bark, from what I've heard, at least the bark should have been taken, if not that chunk of the tree.
Well, if they're saying it's Libby's blood, then someone would have had to have taken a sample of the blood, right?
Yes.
You would think? Okay.
According to the memo, they say the DNA testing shows that it is her blood.
This is, you know, what to make of this, right? It seems like there's more to it. There's a reason you're putting the sticks there. You know, I mean, they're put there purposely. Whether they mean something, whether they are these secret codes, and some Odinistic type of meaning is really the question, right?
It was characterized to me as being perhaps an abandoned effort to cover the bodies.
Okay, I get that. All right, stay where you are. Joining us now in Delphi, Indiana, podcaster Gray Hughes from Gray Hughes Investigates. Gray, great to see you tonight. First of all, this is like huge information that's being released, right? This, for me, came out of left field, the fact that all this information is released. What's your headline, Gray? What's the first thing that struck you in this after covering this for so long?
Well, I, like Barbara, also have heard most of these rumors the whole time with the letter F and the sticks. And I actually, the letter F on a tree is the thing that stuck out to me. Like, whoa, I heard about the letter F, but I didn't know that it was in blood on a tree. But now when you look at it, that with the information that Barbara just showed us, the image there, I mean, who knows how that got there? It could be even, not to sound gross, but like arterial blood spatter that went up onto the tree right there, the way that looks in the picture there. So now that sort of debunks my, like, whoa, there was a letter F on the tree, if that's really what it looks like Barbara showed there.
How about the sticks? And this whole notion of Odinism. Let me ask you, first of all, did you ever hear that term Odinism before the release of all this?
Believe it or not, I have. I had this friend that took a picture at that early on, because he just travels around the country, and he sent it in, and these people went, oh, look at that. They made it seem like we were like part of something just because he took a picture. But I think it's the most, I got to just be honest, like the most ludicrous thing that I've ever heard. I feel like when I read through this document, it was the most sarcastic, sort of almost childishly written document. I mean, I've never seen something that's supposed to be professional that sounded the way it did. What did you guys?
Well, I'm looking at it, and I always look at things in terms of how does it play in front of a jury, what can be done in front of a jury, and to me, what they have done at this point is make people think, well, what exactly was going on at the scene? And were there investigators? And to me, this is the part that stuck out to me, is they're alleging that there's a group of 3 investigators that were following this theory and believe there is something to it. You're out there in Delphi right now. Any sort of buzz on the ground out there with the release of all this, Gray?
Yeah, I mean, I've actually talked to family members and the ex-prosecutor from a long time ago. He doesn't really keep up on it as well, but I mean, let's just look forward to perhaps a rebuttal from Liggett. I think that's kind of the buzz. I mean, when I went through the document, I don't know if you're interested in this portion, but there was a glaring omission of the 3 girls that Richard Allen passed. So remember when Richard Allen says he got there, he passed 3 girls on his way to the bridge. Those 3 girls were leaving the area. They passed the bench right there near the, heading towards the Freedom Bridge at probably, I think it was 126. Richard Allen's driving by up above on the street. He parks his car at 1:30, he said, and then he walks onto the trail, and those 3 girls walk right by him, and then he admits that he walked by those same 3 girls. So that places him heading to the bridge at 1:30, but in the document, it says 12 to 1:30 is when he left, but he wasn't leaving at 1:30. He was going towards the Monenhigh Bridge. So why did they leave that out of the document?
Well, it doesn't help you. That's why you leave it out. So, but fascinating. So give me your bottom line now, Greg, from having gone through this, covered this for so many years. Had you, before this time, ever thought that this could have been a ritualistic killing and that you were looking for some group, some sect out there in Indiana?
I've never believed that that's what it was. I mean, I originally thought it was a lone wolf killer that showed up to the bridge that day hunting somebody. Then they came with the social media angle with Keegan Klein and the Anthony Schatz's profile. And now it seems like it went back to the individual person, being Richard Allen, except, I mean, don't you guys feel like it's a little strange that the only reason that let's see, that the Anthony Shots profile that didn't get to meet Libby that day was because some other random killer killed the girl.
Yeah,
I mean,
I've been saying this as well. You know, what are the odds? Like, what are the odds that you are interacting with someone who's an alleged, or not an alleged, now he's convicted child pornographer who put up this site, and then someone else intervenes? There's got to be some more of a connection. I want to put up on the screen, this is some more evidence from the scene. Libby's shoe and cell phone containing the bridge guy video were found under Abby's lower back. A single bullet found buried under leaves and dirt between the two girls. Barbara McDonald, let me ask you about this. This is crucial evidence for prosecutors, right? This video. I don't think the bridge guy, the killer, knew that they were videotaped that day.
No, I agree.
There's no way.
I agree.
Otherwise, the phone would never be there.
Right.
And what about the bullet, though? There's a problem with the bullet, I think, for prosecutors here.
I've heard about the bullet for many years, and I have never heard a definitive theory from my sources that it does come from the suspect. One speculation was that maybe it comes from law enforcement. It was the same caliber as they use. And as you know, ejection mark testing is not as reliable as a bullet that's been fired.
It's not DNA.
Right.
It's definitely not DNA.
Which is what we need in this case, and apparently don't have.
And don't have the DNA. Gray, what are your thoughts about that? The fact that the bullet is found there. I mean, is the defense going to try? The defense may try to say that Richard Allen's being framed, or it's just a coincidence that it's there, or it's not his bullet.
Well, after I had talked to the family members about what was on the video itself, and early on, like in the first, 6 months of the case, I was told that there was a click sound, that they think that that was the gun chambering a bullet, and then that was used to control the girls. And obviously they weren't killed with a bullet, but maybe at some point he ejected that bullet at the crime scene. That's all I can come up with.
And then leaves it there. Doesn't do anything.
Well, leaves the phone.
And leaves the phone and is busy putting sticks on top of the victims. That's what they're going to have to argue. Okay.